All right, welcome to this Real to Real. I'm Tyler.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Wilson.
We introduced it.
We did it!
We're watching Mac and Me today.
Oh, God.
You guys are in for such a glorious treat.
Seen bits of it.
You've
I've
seen
watched some
you've
review
seen highlights
things of it.
but you don't know.
I haven't watched the full thing in one sitting.
Yeah, you need to be
Ever
under the
in life.
influence for this.
No. I have to be stone cold sober for this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
show my brain who's boss. It's Mac and Me, that's who.
so you know that the background of this is basically McDonald's
Yep.
wanted to make their version of E.T.
Yep.
Why did McDonald's want to do that?
because they thought E.T. was super popular. And they're like, we need our own alien friend, and then we need to promote this movie. And so there's a big part of the film where it's people at McDonald's, and
Yeah.
we'll see it.
And
A bunch
hence
of
his name
random
being
shit.
Mac. Isn't
Yeah.
there some soda product placement too?
We'll see.
There's a lot of product.
But isn't
You'll love the McDonald's.
The
part.
wouldn't-
fucking puppet's a nightmare.
I from looking at that cover right there, I told Tyler I'm never gonna be able to not think of a mugwump.
Just wait till you see it moving, dude.
Well, okay, here's my question though. If McDonald's wanted to make their own version of ET, why didn't they just do it and put them in their own commercials? Why did they have to like put forth the effort to go to MGM and be like, "Hey, let's make a movie, motherfuckers"?
Because E.T. was already made and they did the product placement. They saw how well the product placement for Reese's Pieces worked.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
why not just in-house do it? Like this is such a they had to go
Who are
out,
they gonna
like-
Who are they gonna reach? Well, honestly, they probably would have reached more people if they would have given it away with Happy Meals. But instead of putting it out theatrically, was it theatrically released?
Maybe for a few days.
Probably would have reached more people that way, but I don't know, man. But they wouldn't have made money off it. I don't know, man. This was the fucking
It's just such a big
80s?
thing though. It's like if I wanted
They
I'm
just-
not a
They just wanted to slap their big old McDonald's dick on the ground and be like, "We're gonna make a movie."
Here's my very poor analogy. I like coming up with poor analogies for things, okay?
Okay.
I'm not a painter.
Yes.
McDonald's are not movie makers. They make cheeseburgers.
But they're not very good at that either.
Regardless of their quality, that's what they do day in,
Yes.
day out.
Yes.
They don't make movies.
They
I'm
make
not,
quick food.
I'm not a
Yeah.
painter.
They made a quick movie.
I don't paint.
I mean, still saying food.
But if I
is
wanted
hard.
if I wanted to make a recreation of the Mona Lisa that was all my own, I wouldn't immediately go out and buy the expensive ass canvas and oil paints and like all that stuff.
If you had the money, you would.
I would just try it with crayons first and be like, see how that turns out.
If you had
Like-
if you had the
Even MS
disposable
Paint.
if you
Yeah.
had the disposable income to do it, you'd be like, "Fuck it, why not?"
No, I wouldn't. I would still be
No.
like, I'm not gonna put all my eggs into one basket and then throw
It's
that
not all
basket
your
out the
eggs.
window.
It's not all your eggs. It's just some of your eggs.
That's still a lot of fucking eggs to make a movie compared to just
You need
thinking
more
of a
than
new
that to make
character
an
and
omelet.
incorporating him into your
We're
brand.
talking like prime time '80s McDonald's here, man.
I know, but they didn't see Barney and go like, "Oh, Barney's really popular. We're gonna make the Grimace. Let's get a Grimace TV show. Let's get a Grimace movie. Let's get Grimace." They just put him in their advertising and on their packaging and stuff. Like,
They did have like a. I think that was something they gave away though.
but that was late. That was later in the '90s. They had those like direct to
That's
DVDs
90s,
kind
yeah.
of stuff.
With my boy G Remy.
G Remy. That makes him sound both disgusting and gangster.
G. Remy.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
please don't rim anything. Whether you're a G or any other letter of the
Nothing,
alphabet.
especially something that looks like a giant purple Mike and Ike.
Ooh.
Ooh.
G. Remy.
Grimace. What is Grimace's gimmick?
Grimmick?
Grimace's
Grimmick?
gimmick.
I don't know,
Because
man.
the
His
Hamburglar steals
was pretty
burgers.
obvious.
Mayor McCheese is the mayor.
Mayor
of
McCheese is like,
He's dead, actually. He
He's the
died
mayor.
of a heart attack.
well,
right? He's
he-
not in the group.
he is a
anymore.
burger. He knows about
But he's
burgers.
the
Of course, he's
burger.
mayor of
And,
Burger Town.
what's the bird girl?
Yeah, I don't know what her fucking point was.
We'll
either.
call her Quackers.
And then
She had she had a real name. It was stupid.
yeah, it was dumb. And then
She
the Fry
was
Kids.
Angela.
Clarice or something.
Remember the little Nugget Buds?
Yeah.
Nugget
Nugget
Buds. The Nugget Buds.
I had or no, My cousin had like a drive-through McDonald's play set thing where you can like unfold it, and it came with the little nuggets with faces on them. And I was like, what the fuck? Why would this be in the set? Like, why would I eat these faces of these little nugget? It's like those things from Futurama that they eat.
Dee Dee.
Oh yeah.
No. that's-
Dee Dee?
No.
Dee Dee Bird?
No, that's something.
Lady bird.
Why are you giving me-
Lady bird. Let me see your little bird.
Give me,
Diddy.
just give me, just.
What were the little pom pom?
Fry Kids.
Were those the Fry Kids?
Yeah.
I thought the Fry Kids were just little boxes of fries with eyes and face.
No, those are fries.
Those are fries.
Those
Those are golden potato goodness.
you eat the, yeah, they look like koosh balls. You remember koosh?
Yeah.
Dude.
Little koosh balls. They look like floating, or they had like, there's one where it looked like an actual pom pom.
Birdie,
but
the
they
early
animated,
bird.
they animated like cartoon legs on them, and they did like a little Irish jig.
Her name was literally Birdie. Grimace used to be a bad guy though.
Like hamburger.
Oh, is he like a sidekick to Hamburglar or something? Grimace he's purple. The Hamburglar was stealing all the burgers. He had to put them somewhere. Grimace ate a burger one day, started choking. That's why he grimaced, and he turned purple because he's choking on a burger.
He's constantly choking on burger.
He's got a tiny little onion pellet at the back of his throat that he's like trying to like get out of
sounds
there.
like boo.
Oh, I can't get this onion out of my throat.
Originally, Grimace was the evil Grimace with 2 pairs of arms with which to steal milkshakes.
And they were
Steals
gonna
milkshakes.
add Mac into that mix. I bet. Eventually.
Oh.
See,
God.
that makes more sense to me. Just add Mac into the
I
already
wouldn't.
pre-existing family.
That thing's terrifying.
It is terrifying. It's a mistake to make him in the first place, but
I mean, his mouth is literally an anus,
Yeah.
and he whistles out of it. He whistles out his sphincter.
does
And
he ever do it for nefarious purposes or like
That's how he
Oh, so-
contacts his family.
Mac tonight,
Mac tonight.
lives on forever in my heart.
Oh hell yeah!
That racist
That's
ass
the-
piano playing moon.
That's the only Mac I acknowledge.
He's racist.
I mean,
He's a moon.
He's a moon man.
kinda.
Just because he
Is he trying to
has
impersonate?
attributes of a certain race? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
because he like
The moon is
in
white.
the commercials he was like, I don't know.
He's like Ray
Was he
Charles. He's
speaking-
blind.
Was he speaking Ebonics?
He had an urban accent.
That's what I'm saying.
And he
Yeah.
has like the Ray Charles sunglasses
Yeah.
on, and like some of his like movements were just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that character.
Mac tonight.
Floating around the sky on
He
his little
can't be
cloud
that.
piano. Back tonight, baby.
All right, take a look at that sphincter mouth right there.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. I'm sorry, I need a cigarette before we watch this movie.
All right, so we're gonna sign off, and we're gonna get right back to you after we
Smoke 'em
watch.
if you got 'em, folks.
After we watch the film.
This is depressing.
Mac and me.
And now, our feature presentation.
No. No.
Sometimes it's not so clear.
Holy shit, he's driving Pinky's car from Rockadoodle. Oh! Olivia Newton-John, don't be in this movie. This probably isn't her, it just sounds like it.
Watch out!
There's Mac and me, fellas.
No.
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 I mean, you had to see it to believe it.
I believed it before seeing it. Now I believe
It's,
less.
There's issues.
God, would you call them issues? When they're direct, like when they are purposeful choices?
It didn't seem like this movie had any structure to it at all. Like there wasn't like they had an idea, like a rough outline of like, hey, let's just copy E.T. Let's have this kid lay a trail of breadcrumbs, but instead of Reese's, let's have him put Coke in a cup, and let's
Mars
mimic
father.
as much stuff as we can, but have it go bonkers, off the wall, crazy at the end with the grocery store holdup and then
That-
the big explosion.
That whole bit at the end felt so tacked on because they had like that climactic chase, which is what it felt like when they were like they discovered him at the McDonald's and they chased him through the streets and all this shit, and we're going like, you know, through clotheslines and through fences, and then
Yep.
they're chasing down. They're
That
weaving in
seemed
between
like
traffic.
that seemed like the ET bike chase.
Yeah.
To me.
And then immediately after that was they went from the chase to like them finding like all the kids get together in the van and they go out to the middle of the desert and they find Mac's family.
In the mine shaft.
And there was like that resolution of like, hey, we found the family, everybody's together. And it, in all reasonability, that movie should have ended right there. Like, okay, get off our planet, goodbye, we love you.
Yeah, go like get on your ship or get somewhere to get beamed up. Or
They went so hard the opposite way.
yeah, they caused more
so
destruction.
hard.
They went into a grocery store and pretty much got everybody freaked out, and they got guns pulled on them, and then he stole a gun.
And then they did cultural appropriation and just
Yep.
put these aliens in American-ass clothes and said, okay, you're citizens now, get in the workforce. Like,
Yep.
the part in the
They
end
gave
when
him a
they-
Cadillac.
when they're reading them in, when they're like, and they will serve in the armed forces, like, don't put these. You saw what they did with a pistol. He was just like, waving it all about the
Little
place.
squirrely arms.
I mean, he had enough going up here that he was sensible enough to grab like
I think the mom
a
had a-
box with a couple 2 liters and some other supplies.
The dad seemed more moronic than anybody. The mom and the daughter seemed like the most straight-laced. Like, we need to figure something out. The
I
dad's
never got
like-
that was a daughter the entire time. That could have
No.
just been like another sibling.
Yeah.
The only tell that it was a daughter was that they put a pink bow on her head at,
At the very end, they put her in a dress.
And everybody starts hugging these things, and they're all just like kissing them on the face. I'm like, no, get away. They can live on this earth, but don't like try and just immediately make them American citizens and like.
Catering taste buds.
Okay, can I share with both of you my favorite piece of information attached to this movie?
Yeah.
So, apparently, there's a certain person who has a very soft spot in their heart for this. And that's actor Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah.
And apparently, he made it a running gag for years and years and years where he would go on a talk show to promote his new movie. When they would run a clip of a new movie, he would just run the clip of the kid falling off the cliff in his wheelchair. And he did it for years as a bait and switch of just like, yeah, here comes some new footage from Civil War. And it was just the little kid going off the cliff. And for that one specifically, for Civil War, like Chris Evans was there too. And he was just like, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good clip.
I love Mac and me. Snorks?
They had the
I guess
kid
that
watched
was the Mac and Me joint venture, all rights reserved.
it. So yeah, I mean this movie has so much floating around about its like history and the production and the blatant rip-off of an already
Yeah.
well-established title from a better director and vision. And this was just totally getting a cash grab or some kind of marketing ploy for McDonald's, because that scene, like smack dab in the middle of the movie, they broke out of the entire narrative just to show McDonald's as a place where people just dance for no reason at all, other than somebody off screen saying, "All right, guys, here, let's have a dance competition. Get ready."
Well, it's like that Greek myth where all these people like get invited to this big party, and they're passing around lotus petals, like lotus flower petals, and they'll eat it, and then they basically just get like brainwashed into staying at that party for eternity. And as long as they keep eating these petals that are being passed around, they're like brainwashed into like just being all about this party. And that's kind of what the McDonald's seemed like, where if you step foot within about 50 feet of this place, You're drinking the Kool-Aid and you're dancing, you're singing.
Like we
you're-
saw that scene where they were dancing in the parking lot, and then the car blares in, just going. Bam, bam. The people get out of the way, but they're on like the step, and they're just like dancing in front of the car, and then the car stops, and then they get right by the trunk, and they're just like doing
Yeah,
their
like-
pop and locks right in front of them, like.
The second that car leaves an inch of space, it's immediately filled by somebody just filling that space and dancing behind it. And it's like,
Yep,
what the
they're
fuck is
bumping
going
and
on?
grinding all over the car.
And it was just weird to me that like that I expected a lot more of this movie in its entirety to be like every 5-10 minutes somebody would say something like as a nod to McDonald's, or say something like, "Well, let's go eat some McNuggets," or some heavy-handed piece of promotion.
Yep.
But it was really only contained to that one line about like, "You work at McDonald's?
Yeah, come in sometime, get a Big Mac.
Like kind of
Yep.
snarky." But then that whole scene at McDonald's, like, it wasn't really promoting McDonald's. It was more promoting like cultural mixing and like everybody celebrating at this one place
It
that just
seemed-
happened to be McDonald's.
Yeah, everybody was really colorful, and like there was football players, ballerinas.
What the fuck was that?
There was another group of people. I think I saw baseball players with like bats on their shoulder, and they're just like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, the football players like had that like paint.
like they just got
they were just getting done with the game.
Yep, but
And
they
they're
like
they're there
they started
doing the
dancing.
choreography, like dancing with everybody. It was weird that they didn't like have a specific shot of like a person in uniform behind the counter handing across like a made to look good platter of some fries and a burger. We only really saw people with like sodas in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just weird that like the whole McDonald's shebangaling, this whole thing is like 2% of the movie. But then the whole production
Yeah.
side of it and all of it, it's like for the effort that they put in to make a fucking theatrical film, the presence is almost not there at all.
Yeah, it's not. There's no heart to this film. There's just a lot of crosstalk with all the characters. They all talk over each other, or like talk about really inane things that have nothing to do with the story. You see a picture of the dad that looks like Kenny Rogers. He's never talked about. He's only in pictures.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't even say,
you don't know the
like,
relationship if he's dead or
Where
alive.
the dad is, or
Yeah.
what's happening, or why he's not there. They don't say a single thing. He's
Yeah.
just like, here's dad in the picture with everybody.
And if they're trying to do like the same thing with E.T., at least Elliot says, "Oh, Dad's in New Mexico with Sally," or whatever he says. And it's like, "Oh, he hates Mexico." Like, you know that the dad is with another woman away from the family. Mm-hmm. In this, it's just like, there's a picture. And you have no idea who that guy is. Like, oh, it might be the dad, might be an uncle, might be a grandpa.
These aliens did not make me feel good. Like, looking at them,
God.
they just don't look pleasant.
They don't make me want to go to McDonald's.
They don't make me want to go anywhere. They make me want to hide under a fucking blanket and forget that I ever saw that.
The producers of the movie are like, "Hey, this is a cute enough thing. Maybe it'll make people go to McDonald's." No way.
I honestly didn't know that Mac was a part of a family. So every time that I saw the cover for this, or I saw that little alien, I was like, okay, I can let that slide. It's a little kind of ugly looking. I can see how it could be cute, kind of alien, whatever. There's only one of them. But no, there's an entire family of different sizes, of builds and shapes and like facial features. And it's too much. It's too much. I don't like it. Ew. Gross.
Ew.
I hate it.
Yeah, tell us what you think of it, Eric.
I hate it
From what you saw.
from what I saw because I fell asleep.
He did fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's a very...
That's what I think about this movie. I fell asleep.
You didn't miss anything.
I know. Oh, I'm aware.
Anything that you did see, like that's enough.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. It's
You can get the gist from just like
seeing E.T.
seeing ET or just being
Except for the whole getting made citizens at the end.
that's more like a short circuit Johnny Five.
That's a little weird.
That was like a mad TV sketch though. It's like, oh my god, fucking aliens. Okay.
But everybody's okay
Now
with it.
here's your citizenship, and here's your job card,
Yeah.
and here's your keys to your Cadillac. Get out there.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
Go to war.
Yeah. What are the Russians gonna think when all of a sudden their front line, like the troops are out there marching towards the front line, and they
There's this
see those
fucking-
little fuckers coming across? They're like, what has America been doing? What kind of advantage do they have that we don't have?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think the movie's just fun to go back and watch the really crazy moments that happen in it. For one, starting off with the kid falling down the cliff is the funniest scene in this whole film.
Yeah.
Because the scene
don't know.
prior is the mom just being like, "Roar!" just roaring at this kid for.
want you to talk at all.
Yeah, I don't want you to do anything. And she just screams at him.
Sadly wheels himself out the back door of the house onto the backyard, and he's looking wistfully in the distance, and then all of a sudden he just starts wheeling towards that cliff, and we're all like, "Oh, there, goodbye, Eric. You
Yep.
got a good life."
And his brakes just
So long.
pop out, and then he's like, and he's just stiff as a board, falling
Yeah,
down.
that dummy's hands were fucking nailed to that wheelchair because
Yep.
he was real locked in there.
And then the scene with the dad and the gun. I mean, that scene is the funniest to me because you're just like, what? Because you just hear like a guy trips or something, like he falls over, like he's trying to do like a car surf, like
He's trying to run after Eric, and he just like clips his hip on the front bumper of the car, and fully ass over tea kettle just goes right over the thing.
and then pops a shot off, and then the dad, like a trained assassin, turns
Like,
around
spins
quickly. and-
around and aims the gun at him, like readies it at his hip, and then they all start opening fire on him.
Yep, they fire all over, and they miss miraculously everybody, even Eric. That's
and
like
then,
right there.
And then the car explodes, and everything
Yep.
else around them explodes. And it's like, wow, this
This is like
took a turn.
This is the big set piece for the end of the movie. Is just this huge explosion that goes off.
I still can't get over the 2 times where the music so jarringly did not fit the image that was on screen.
Yeah, when they were running, when they went on their run, and it starts playing some really smooth, like mellow R&B soul type song.
Yeah.
And then you just
Like-
see Mac getting barked at by dogs, like trying to climb a tree, and he's just stuck in the tree.
Like he's almost in like a T pose, and he's just clearly a puppet they're just wiggling around in a tree, and they start playing this R&B music over it, and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
He's just stuck there.
It's like a romantic scene between him and the dogs where he's like up in the tree shaking his goods for him, and they're just like,
Come
and
get
then
me,
at
boys.
the end when you have the dad alien driving that Cadillac, and a similar like mood kind of song where it's like a more softer 90s type R&B starts
Yeah.
playing, and it's just like, this does not fit at all.
It like
What the
yeah,
fuck is going
it starts fading in after they get like their citizenship, and then like everybody's hugging, and then you just hear this really somber, kind of like lighthearted song start playing, and you're like, oh no, this is not good.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Think about every single company operating in America that now has a whole new demographic they got to hone in on. How do you market to aliens like that? Like we saw him wearing the little McKids like T-shirt and
McKids.
shorts at the end. Like, are they going to be running ads specifically for this alien family? Like,
Yeah, what would you
Go buy
imagine?
Coke.
What would you imagine another either well-established food chain or like any other chain, kind of like a household name? How would they make their movie, or like what other movies could you make out of other house or well-established brands?
you know what movie you do make? You make the fucking KFC movie with Colonel Sanders as your main character.
There you go. He was an
see
actual
him, You see
colonel.
him coming up in the secession of the Confederacy down there, and he's for states' rights, but he's not for that slavery. He's very nice to the slaves because he's a young man, Harlan Sanders, before he was a colonel, growing up and just living his life on that estate. Meets a nice old black lady who just happens to be one of the house people who helps cook and clean and do everything, and she's so nice to him. She teaches him how to make fried chicken. It's so good. Learns all
It's
the
finger
recipes.
licking good.
Yeah, and then he grows up and becomes a colonel in the Confederate Army. He's like, I never wanted war. I just wanted to make food and make people happy. And then he like makes a plate of fried chicken for General Lee or something and serves it up to him, and it's just like, damn, son, you got some skill in the kitchen. Like, well, get this boy from front lines. We got to get him out in the fields cooking for everybody. And he like is out there just making mess kits for all the. He's like, war's hell. And then he finally
Yeah.
gets out of it. And like,
One that's like if they actually made a McDonald's film about Ronald McDonald.
Or
It would've been-
Wendy's about Wendy.
Yeah, or Burger King about a Burger King.
A monarch who like is like, what if we took the beef?
It would
and
make
we
sense
made it
because
into little
You could
circular
you could
patties?
you could essentially bring it to Hamburg, Germany, and have a king type figure be the Burger King of
He's the
Hamburg.
Burgermeister.
Yeah,
Who
and
then becomes crowned king.
yep. And you just have a story about this king of burgers that like introduces the world to these awesome burgers.
Taco John's.
But why would McDonald's be like, "Hey, our brand is about or our whole basis of our character is like a clown, happy clown. Let's get rid of that. Let's have this alien with a weird anus mouth and this little wheelchair kid."
I'm
That's
just
suicidal.
as confused before seeing this movie. I know we were talking about that before the movie.
Yeah.
I'm still just as confused after seeing the movie because it's
It's-
like I was saying before, like the presence of McDonald's is not that huge in this movie, and it wasn't
There's just so much
specifically funded by them or
Bizarre
made.
shit to
by
kind of
them, like-
wash your brain of all the McDonald's that's in this. You're like, wait, what did I just see? Like, what was that scene about?
If they weren't dancing and doing a big number like that at the McDonald's, I would have completely forgot there was even a McDonald's in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason I remember that is because of the batshit dance number where the entire time the scene is still happening, and then unrelated to the scene, completely unrelated to the scene, there's just a dance number going on. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and the reasoning behind going there is like Eric just moved to this town and he just met Debbie, his next door neighbor, and then Debbie's like, "Hey, I'm going to a birthday party. Do you want to come?" And he's like, "Okay, I don't even know this person, so yeah, I'll come." And then how am I going to bring Mac? Oh, put him in my my teddy bear.
I'll put him in a teddy bear costume. Like, that is clearly too big for any child
Looks-
to carry around. It's the size of him.
Yeah,
And
it's like he's holding
has it
another
on his
boy.
lap. He's like, okay, let's go to the party. Gotta bring my teddy bear.
And then he's like totally showing up this girl's birthday party by like, look at my awesome teddy bear doll.
It's one of those, what do you say, computer operated?
Yeah, he's like,
He's like,
"Oh yeah, he's old. I've had him forever." And then she's like, "Well, does he move?"
does your bear move?
And he's like, "Yeah, he's one of those new animatronic ones."
He's one of those new computer operated ones.
And then
He
she's
likes-
like, "Oh, I thought you said he was old." "Oh, yeah, he just got new microchips."
Yeah, like I don't know. You can see the hesitation in both the character, like trying to deliver that line, like play that off to somebody,
Yep.
and you can see the hesitation in the actor being like, "Oh, this is the line," and it's really weird when he's staring this chick in the face, and you can see him kind of like, line, please."
So who have you looked up the Eric character? Like what he's in? Like has he been in anything else?
No, there were two people specifically mentioned when I looked this up that said that this was their only film role. I don't know who the people were in this movie, but two people in this movie never acted again after this, and I can kind of understand why.
He's probably Debbie and him.
Debbie was a weird one, like character-wise, because we're a lot of times in a movie where you have like more shallow characters that aren't going to get a lot of development, you'll introduce them or who the main strongest point of their characteristics or their personality, you'll introduce them in that way. So, you know, you'll have like the surfer guy. You show him surfing in the beginning, and then he comes off. And he's like, "Shaka Bros, ripping it up." The Debbie character, when they pull up to their new house, she's sitting across the street in this little teepee, and she's got like a Native American headdress and
But
stuff
she doesn't
on.
act that archetype of like, I'm a spiritual girl.
Yeah, the only time she ever says that is in that one scene.
The
where she's
introduction.
Like, I'm out here communing with the earth spirits, and then the rest of the movie, she's just a generic suburban young girl.
Yeah,
and
it's not like she doesn't keep that archetype.
why even go through the trouble? Like
Yeah.
you had to spend time on set setting up a teepee, getting this girl in costume, setting up the little stuffed animals and
The
stuff.
joke was
just
what
don't do it.
The joke was what Mike says, like, wow, California.
Oh, welcome to California, huh?
Yeah, like that's the joke. Like, okay, so they had that set up just for that punchline, and it's not mentioned.
But you could have had like a random person that is not a character
Yeah.
that we continue with in the movie be that person who's like the weird Californian that they run into.
Exactly. Like that's just so bizarre to have Debbie just portray that type of person. You're like, oh, so this is who we're gonna deal with as their neighbor.
Nope.
That's gonna be funny. Not at all.
Nope.
She's just this girl.
Normal ass girl. And then her sister, Yeah, like we were talking about it, like at the climax where Eric is getting blown up and like the aliens resurrect him and shit. Debbie's older sister, the one who works at McDonald's, is like kneeling over him and like crying her eyes out. She was really acting her ass
Like
off there. But
she felt that scene.
she that earlier that day had met the younger brother and the older brother.
Because she was
like,
wearing her McDonald's like outfit. Like
yeah, she came over to their house to basically like grab her sister and take her to the McDonald's where the party was happening.
Yep.
So in that moment, she had the opportunity to like poke her head in and be like, "Oh, hi, I'm Debbie's older sister." Blah blah blah, and then like 12, 16 hours later, she's kneeling over the kid she just said hi to in the dark. There's helicopters shining spotlights. She's surrounded by police, and goddamn aliens are resurrecting a child in front of her.
Yep.
What a day!
What a day for this McDonald's employee.
Like waking up for her shift, I bet she did not expect any of that.
So yeah, that's probably why she's like running on fumes at that point. So she's just like, I'm just gonna let this out.
I'm just gonna roll with it.
I'm just gonna bawl my eyes out. And like, she was crying way harder than Eric's brother. Like,
Even the mom.
yeah, and the mom's just like, oh, Eric.
Like she's disappointed.
She's just like, why'd you die?
Oh, Eric.
Eric, why'd you
You already
do
lost
that?
your legs. Wasn't that enough?
Now you're putting me through this after I had to like change my whole lifestyle because of you. I had to move to California where everything's on one level and they don't have basements and stairs.
Yeah, and she like
She made a point
she
to
made
say
a
that.
point when they first moved to the house.
Big
she's like-
hallways.
She like they had the scene of like everybody goes in the house and they're like looking around like, oh, this is cool, whatever. And then the brother just like they just leave him out of the frame. They're just like, okay, you're out of here. You're done now. And they go on Eric and he like his mom's wheeling around this house. She's like, now Eric, I don't know if you noticed, but no steps in this entire
Yeah,
place.
the counters are really low.
Low countertops, wide hallways. You can see out of every window. And he's like reaching back and grabbing her arms and like stroking up and down on them, but he's not looking at her
Yeah, he's just
at
like-
all. He's facing forward, but his arms are like up and behind him, and he's
Yes,
like
mother.
feeling her arms like,
Yes, mother.
yes, mother, tell me about my handicap.
Yes,
It was so
And that's
weird.
another thing that kind of made me mad. Like, why didn't the aliens cure him of his paralysis?
Because the actor actually had to use a wheelchair in real life, so they
Is that why?
yeah.
He's an actual, like, paraplegic?
Not a paraplegic, but he did need to use a wheelchair.
Oh.
I think he had like
Did he use, like,
feeling
crutches
and
or
the
something?
use of his legs, but he needed a wheelchair to get around. I mean, I can look up specifically like what he had. It's
Well, I give him kudos for that, because, like I said, I don't remember a whole lot of movies that had a main character be in a wheelchair or have a disability like
Yeah,
that.
the kid who played him had spina bifida. And he
Wow.
used a wheelchair in real life. And he actually did a portion of that stunt of him going over the cliff. Not him actually going over the cliff, but him going down the hill. He was actually in the wheelchair doing that a little bit. And he basically was just saying that, like, well, it's very hard to make a wheelchair work. Because when you're in that condition, a wheelchair is not a very balanced thing.
Is this George Lucas?
No. I'm just doing a general little...
No, but that's super cool. I have not. I've seen this movie maybe like 5 times, and I'm like, all right, this kid's probably just being really good at not using his legs, or like they in some scenes like you can almost tell like maybe they strapped a string around his ankles, so it made him like have
Yeah,
to
like
be like that.
forcibly have to do that stuff.
Yeah, and that's how some people method act too, or like if they can't move their legs, they just tie them together.
They have doctors put steel rods in their entirety of their legs, and then they nut and bolt those rods out so they can't move them.
I still think it would have been a really cool idea in that situation, though, still to have his legs be cured. Like, hey, now everything's even better.
You know what would have been even better than that is if they just why not start from scratch, make a whole new Eric. Like
There you go.
They raise him up, and when they raise him back down, he like lowers down beneath everybody's shoulder level, so we can't see him barely anymore. We can just see like his clothes, and he sits back up, and it's still the same clothes and everything, but he's like a black kid now. He's got like little curly hair and everything.
No, this is
And
what they do. The
everybody's
dad,
just like,
the dad does his little V-shaped whistle, and then that light that comes down from the heavens,
Yeah.
like, goes down into Eric like it did, but then Eric kind of forms into another ball of energy, and then it goes in the dad's stomach, and it becomes like a baby bump on the dad, and the dad's walking around like with this baby bump until like the very end of the movie where they're at like the citizenship thing, and then he gives birth to Eric.
Instead of a citizenship ceremony, it's a wedding between the mom and the dad alien who's now pregnant with Eric. And they,
I'm your dad, Eric.
yeah, like during the ceremony, the dad is like in the suit and he just like makes this face of like, oh, and like starts grabbing his tummy and stuff. And, like,
But he kind of just like opens
unbuttons his
it.
shirt and then it just like
Eric just comes out like an actual like, xenomorph alien baby. It's like,
covered in some like goo and stuff. It's like sitting
Mac
there. on the
sauce?
ground, like,
it's Max sauce. It's special sauce.
they just take like the seltzer bottles filled with Coke and just start hosing him down with like their fire extinguishers. Like,
Because that's pretty much what they ran on is Coke.
yeah.
They said that at the beginning or something.
It must be like what he drinks on his planet.
Yeah, it makes sense, I guess. 'cause
Which
they-
if you like, and then I said this in the movie too. Like, if you think about it, an alien life form comes to our planet, and the first thing they ingest is a full can of Coke. They're gonna fucking die because that's probably a lot of stuff they've never been introduced to that is totally foreign to their system.
And this is a baby, like we're talking about. Like
Yeah,
Mac is
and,
the
like,
baby boy.
He doesn't have those defenses built up. That's a lot of sugar and maybe even like elements that he's never had in his system before. And here's a lot of them.
And we should talk about the very beginning where Mac is introduced, and then like he runs into a family of a dad and a boy, which is played by Budnick from Salute Your Shorts. I don't know the actor's name, but you think at that moment when Mac slams on their windshield, like, oh, we're gonna follow this kid and his dad.
He's Flat Mac.
Yeah, and he was just like Pancake Mac,
Still with the googly eyes moving around.
McPancake on the windshield, and then you're like, oh, this kid's like, he's acting pretty tough too. Like he's like screaming like, Dad, look at that, Dad, Dad, whoa, slow down, whoa, and then you're like, okay, we're gonna follow this family, but then like, you see this big pileup that happens after Mac gets thrown off the windshield, and then this car comes barreling towards this kid, and you're like, holy
And there's
crap!
a reaction shot of the dad and the kid, and they like do
They're like- they're
like,
hugging.
do a little like rack like just right into the dad.
Like a
and stuff,
super zoom, yeah,
Like, they're
just-
just kind of like this is where they die,
Yep, they're gonna die here, but
And then
then
they
they
don't.
they crash right into a car adjacent.
and then
But then
like
we follow it away from the accident to this van, and
yeah,
you're like, oh,
it just like shifts like over, like you can see the dad in the driver's seat, little kid in the passenger seat, and then it just like shifts over to a completely different car.
yeah,
It's
don't
like,
mind these
now
people
moving
that you
away
just
from the
saw.
movie, going to a different part of the movie, and we're there.
All right, guys, come with me now.
Yeah,
You don't worry about these guys.
buckle in. Yeah,
Watch
they're gone.
these people.
They're
now.
gone.
Watch these people. These people are the new leads. So
I don't think I liked this movie. If to be honest, I think this movie makes me not feel good.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It's not meant to be feel like a feel good happy movie. Like to me, this movie has so much flaws, but there's so many moments in it that you like. You can look back and be like, that was just really bad. It was funny, and like that was just so crazy and off the wall. Like, why would you even think of something like that?
I either want to like dub this, just do like a silly ass dub,
Yeah.
or recut some of it so it's more like a horror movie.
Oh, horror movie
Because
would
the
be
first
great.
like
'Cause that's what-
third of the movie,
Yeah.
when you're first like introducing Eric and Mac in his home, like in and around his home.
There's a lot of like hide and seek
yeah, there's like
gimmicks.
just barely missing him kind of moments, or like small interactions like that. And there's a lot like when he's using the power tools to bust through the wall and cut down the door, and like
And setting up the whole house like it's outside,
yeah,
like in a forest.
he's like a
You're
serial
like,
killer.
that's like something a psychopath would do
yeah.
to a family to terrorize them.
And then within 24 hours, cleans it all up.
Yep.
And just has everything like back to normal.
And then making the mom second guess her feelings toward her kid, being like, my kid is suicidal.
yeah, that's kind of fucked
Schizophrenic.
up.
Yeah, my kid is schizophrenic.
Schizophrenic?
Yeah.
Schizophrenia?
Yeah, schizophrenia.
How do you know about that? It's what I have.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie is just a cluster of bad things, and it's
I want to isolate like
Yeah, this movie can go fuck itself.
the 5 minutes on either side of that music starting with him up in the tree, because that moment seriously like I have not been so unprepared for something in years.
I'll see if I can just pull it up in the scenes.
Because that was just beautiful almost. Tilting at windmills? Oh, it's back. It's back. It's going to be... Go to 9 to 12?
Is it really that far? I don't think it's that far.
Joyride.
I don't know if it's.
It's either
Joyride.
right before Joyride. It's either Proof or Joyride.
Let's see from.
Because
That's where you're
Proof...
fucking up the house.
Proof is right after they've had that vacuum incident and they told the mom, like, we're not lying, Mom. And then the next day she's kind of like decompressing and is like, oh, let's go for a roll.
Yeah, I remember that.
Get
now.
it? They don't go for a run. They go for a roll because he's in a wheelchair.
He's in a wheelchair.
Can't use his legs, everybody.
There it is.
You gotta see this. You gotta see this transition, dude. It is golden.
So the dogs are chasing after Mac in a Power Wheels car, and he goes off the
Here
rails.
it comes.
And the dogs are barking at this, and then stuck in a tree.
Wow.
Pretty jarring.
And he's just stuck up there forever
He's just
now.
like, come back, Eric. Come back.
Yeah, this movie's crazy, and there's so many moments like that. Like, why would you have this like weird R&B style song when they're just going for a run and being chased by
I'm going
dogs?
for a roll.
Yeah, I had to subject you guys to this because I wanted you to at least know what the buzz was and like what people have already said about it. Like, you have another perspective on it now.
Kids, don't do
This
Mac.
movie was so bad, it made me fall asleep and wake up having a fucking panic attack.
Shit.
It's like, no, fuck this movie.
Don't do Mac. Mac
do
is
Mac.
whack.
Don't
Mac
do it.
is whack. We'll end it there. How about Mac is whack, kids?
This was too much. Don't watch this. Please,
do it.
please do not watch this under the influence. It
Just don't
probably
under-
won't be entertaining. It will be disturbing and distressing.
Yeah. It was disturbing and distressing enough.
Yeah. When we're all sober, we're just like
We'll
we-
rename
you know,
this movie Disturbing and Distressing.
not Mac and me.
Mac and me. Fucking a razor blade in me.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
electroshock therapy in me.
Yeah. Is there a way that I can like
Get this-
forget that I saw
Flush this memory out. Yeah.
And it's not even that I'm saying that because it's like so bad of a movie that I need to like
No,
watch it
there's
from my mind. It's
so
just
much.
I don't want to have the memory of these little things.
Yeah, you thought they were gonna be kind of these cute little
It would have been less disturbing.
mogwops or whatever.
It would have been less disturbing if they were actually mugwumps.
Yep.
Like I would not have been so creeped out if they were actually the design from Naked Lunch and there's mugwumps. I've been like, oh,
And they could talk and not just whistle.
Yeah.
I mean, E.T. was endearing because he just kind of goes, ouch, and he
He
can
can talk
learn
a
to
little
talk.
yeah,
And
he like, yeah.
E.T. phone. "Ooh."
But by the end of the movie, when they're reading them in, we still think, like, as far as we know, there's no solid way. Like, there's a little bit that you can do to like gesture, and just because you talk slow, they understand. Mm-hmm. Bullshit. These are fucking aliens. They whistle to communicate. They don't know English. They don't know anything Earth. So by the end, we've just stuffed them in suits and we're reading them in, and they're like,
Also, you have to
hand
take
in the
written
air.
tests before you do that.
Yeah, and it's I just almost
And learn
imagine.
a lot about the history of the country and everything.
Yeah, I imagine that being like Mars Attacks. Like the second that we cut to the credits and they're driving under the underpass, the dad just takes out that pistol that he still has hidden from that whole shootout and just like
Starts shooting at
He
cars.
presses a button and a bunch of bombs just drop out of the sky.
yeah,
And they're still just driving.
he
driving
doesn't
through
know
it
that
all
shit's
happy.
cool now.
And all you
He
hear
doesn't-
is this song.
Yep. Sounds like a fucking Peter Cetera song.
Mac is whack. I don't like it.
Yeah, we'll
I
just
never
end
wanna
it. We'll end
experience
it
it
with
again.
this horrible song.
This is garbage.
Let this song lull you to sleep. Let your dreams be free of Mac forever. Goodbye, everybody.